Thank you for joining me here at the American News Network with Chris Sanders. Well, we have a West Coast event that's been going off, as you can see, and first it was 500, then 700 additional troops. Yeah, you heard me correct. We got about 1,000 Marines that have been landed out there in California to assume control. Is martial law on the horizon for the United States? It's a question I'm going to ask, but then I'm also speculating either a major earthquake or some sort of weapon from China or Russia. I'm saying this because we have fish even from very deep depths that have been rising to the surface and living. And this could only happen if there's some sort of massive atmospheric change that's going on. As you can see, this is Los Angeles. So first we had the homeless epidemic from Gavin Newsom. And these are the results of sanctuary cities that we let them in. Now, I'm of the mindset that we let in 30 million illegal aliens, which is equivalent to almost about, let's say, 60 million people. The reason why I say this is because most of these illegal aliens are military-age men from countries that we don't want here, because we're at war with those countries. In Washington, D.C., I see that the military has surrounded the nation's capital because it's going to be the 250th anniversary of the United States Army, coinciding with Orange Man Good with watermelon balls turning 79 years old. Now, truly, America has become a nation that is a gerontocracy. In fact, we are the old folks' home that rules the world. But is that getting us into a positive direction? Because what you're seeing behind me is the works of the Democrat Party and Jackwagon Joe and open borders. It hasn't just destroyed our society, it's crumbling us from within. Now, can we let our children inherit this? Is this what peace looks like? Are you really sold on the Democrat agenda now? Don't you think this does us a lot of good? As we go into a war, President Trump said that he wanted peace. Well, we're not seeing this behind us. And again, in this area here, we have another infiltrator on two levels. Karen Bass being the mayor of the city of Los Angeles. You saw how great her, woke, aggressive firefighters and how great they defended the United States correctly. Well, they kept their jobs. Karen kept her job, and now we see Los Angeles. This is much worse than George Floyd. This is over 1,000 Marines. These are people getting hit by literally everything that you can imagine. Gavin Newsom. Should he be jailed? Should he be apprehended? That's actually on the table right now. And there are 12 countries that we're not allowed to go to America. And that goes into effect today. But I'm going to read you a list also of 43. So don't go thinking for a second that we're not in war. 12 countries, then 43 countries you can't fly home to. And if you think that you're going to fly into Reagan International Airport, DCA, well, think again, because the skies might be closed. So President Trump on Wednesday signed a travel ban on 12 countries today. That stuff kicks into effect and the ban goes effect, and we see citizens of Afghanistan, Myanmar, Chad, the Republic of Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. That's a dozen nations. Can't go back and forth. It's wild. I actually have friends from several of those countries. There is no way this does not affect each one of us. We're already now being separated from our parents, our loved ones, and if you think that is the ticket, also travel from Burundi, Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, Turkmenistan, and Venezuela. People from those countries cannot come to the United States permanently or get tourist or student visas. Now, I'm all for shutting down any foreign visa as far as for students, because as a taxpayer, I really don't want to pay any taxes on somebody else's kid from another nation getting an education in my country. And when I heard that we had 325,000 Chinese here getting an education, I think I speak for all parents here, doesn't that anger you? That they robbed our children of an education because of the way these gerontocracy government officials that are in the old folks' home have been bought out by lobbyists, and all lobbying is an Article 2, Section 4 violation for what is called a bribe. So have we legalized bribery to let it destroy our country? Well, the proof is when I see the Ukrainian flag fly in my capital, or maybe even Israel's. There should be no other flag flying but mine. And if you fly one, get out and go defend that country, but definitely don't steal my money. All right, we got a red list, an orange list, and a yellow list, and the results are what you're seeing. There's a hidden army here, and these are the citizens of those armies that are destroying Los Angeles currently as we speak. Are we going to slide into martial law? Well, the military is being used against you. Wake up. That kind of defines it. So in red we have, just like I said, Afghanistan, Bhutan, Cuba, Iran, Libya, North Korea, Somalia, Sudan, Syria, Venezuela, and Yemen. These countries are in the red list, and they are basically at war with us. In orange we have Belarus, Eritrea, Haiti, Laos, Myanmar, Pakistan, Russia, Sierra Leone, South Sudan, Turkmenistan. Russia's in there, and their allies, Belarus. And this is coming up, and these visas have all been strictly just restricted immediately. Are we at war? Oh, this answer says yes. Yellow, 60 days to address the concerns of these countries. So what I just told you is not just 12. It changed immediately. It changed as Washington, D.C. has the military around itself, not just for a parade, but to defend herself against the 30 million illegal aliens that we have here in our country, so that we don't look like Los Angeles and every other sanctuary city that has permitted this. Now I'm going to tell you why and how and the tools that the government needs to arrest these people, because they violated the opening preamble of the United States Constitution, which is the supreme law of the land. Does this look like the general welfare has been protected in the city of Los Angeles to you? Well, the answer is no, not at all. And these people need to pay the price for what is called treason. What is treason? Giving aid and comfort to the enemy? Well, you let them come here as felons, and look what they're doing to our country. 60 days, these other countries might have travel restrictions. It depends on how serious this war is about to get. Angola, Antigua, and Barbuda, Benin, Burkina Faso, Cambodia, Cameroon, Cape Verde, Chad, Republic of Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo, Dominica, Equatorial Guinea, Gambia, Liberia, Malawi, Mali, Mauritania, St. Kitts, Nevis, St. Lucia, St. Tome, Principal, Vanuatu, and Zimbabwe. Are you on the list? So we got 43 countries coming to you loud and clear, 43 countries, because our country's falling apart at the seams. So it seems. Los Angeles, I told you they destroyed Hollywood. We put all of our money in the Ukraine, which was Jewish Russia, all of our money in Israel. We pulled out of Afghanistan. It hurt the big pharmaceutical companies, and as such, did they somehow bribe our politicians and influence President Trump in a way? Did he see what they actually did? Because I did some reading and I'll say I did. So there's this crafty bill that there was a genius of a man years ago named Dana Rohrabacher who wrote for President Reagan many of what he said, and he defended the state of California 30 years ago. And I remember even Reagan, as a Democrat, he said that when he became over and he started to run for the Republicans, he said, it wasn't me that left the party left me. So if you're a Democrat today, I want you to understand what you voted for by the images and the terror that you see behind me. It's straight out demonology. I'm going to unite the Hindus, the Muslims, the Christians, and the Jews, and the fathers of faith. Because when you give them an inch, the people that commit blasphemy, the results are what you're seeing behind me. So we have LA bracing for the end. And I really don't think necessarily that they voted. I think this is all from fraud and treason. And what should those crimes be? I don't need to tell you as far as how popular the world thinks Adam Schiff is. And I don't think that certain people were elected at all. And I know we don't look at the results of a stolen country. This is the inside army that is causing anarchy. This is the actual United States Marine Corps. And these punks are attacking my cops, my ICE agents. And if you don't bleed red, white, and blue, well, you don't really need to be given an opinion, because this is just for Americans that love their country. And even if I have to manufacture bullets, I tell you, drill, baby, drill, we're going strong. But on the side, I was like, I gotta stop my sulfur. I gotta stop the coal. We can't send anything else to China or any other country, because they're gonna make bullets and attack us. So we gotta beat them to the punch. I'm gonna try to manufacture as many bullets as I can with American-made bullets, and I got some pretty kick-ass American partners. In fact, even if I have to give every single American something to defend themselves with, I will. I am what I am. So we have Iran, and they're making their spew with their old enemy, and it's really just Netanyahu. But I'll tell you, since the beginning of time, Jews and Muslims have gotten along fine. There's really no emergency over there. The emergency is here. And our country needs all of our help that we can give her. So we have some interesting moves that are going on. And these Los Angeles riots, I think, are just the beginning of just really horrible things to come. I want you to know that we need to seize all of the radio stations immediately that were purchased by George Soros. We already know they're already guilty of giving out ICE positions on the radio. And shouldn't that be enough of a lesson to protect our police officers, to seize those and give them to companies like American News Network, Major News Network, Newsmax, One American News? To real people. There's real good reporters out there we could have take over those stations in Texas, like the Hodge twins. Oh, by the way, in Washington, D.C., my friend Brock Pierce and I are going to take over the airwaves of D.C. We also met up, and he met up with Steve Bannon, who's going to be a part of it. And if I could have the great Glenn Beck also, I think this would be a great morning show, from going from me to Glenn Beck to Steve Bannon. And of course, with Joe Rogan, he's got the Spotify, and with Alex Jones, that would be kind of something. But I'd like to cram down a little bit of reality down these people's throats out here, because they justly deserve it. That's right. So we got to protect our ICE agents. We got to protect our country. As far as Karen Bass, I believe that she, committed treason, and she's basically someone working for herself to destroy our country. There's a lot of investigating on that proves these facts. But we have just horrible things happening. We have looting going on. I fear for all of my friends and business owners out there in the state of California. We even have a live look. These punks, like, literally just decimated police vehicles today. And we have, we just have mobilized Marines, and these guys are not necessarily in there. Now, this is happening in Dallas, Texas, and my family just let me know this. And thank you, Allison, for contributing this. But we have Dallas, Texas having anti-ICE protests, and they're marching through Trinity Groves in Dallas, Texas. This is basically happening right now as we're speaking. And I want you to know that, we are not fighting many citizens. We should view this as a war. We do not need to eventually apprehend all these people. We need to start mobilizing and letting the sheriff deputize citizens. And this is not about arresting people. This is about protecting our country from an invasion that has already happened. We have 30 million people that we need to get out of here, and we should view all these people out on the street as the enemy. If you're shooting a cop, if you're shooting somebody that's trying to establish law and order, you are the problem. And I think that you need to mobilize it and make it to where citizens can assist, even with deadly force immediately, so that we can protect our country and all the old folks that deserve it. So, if you're a sheriff, start deputizing your citizens in certain counties. You have this right. We've had this right since the cowboy days. And keep your counties clean. Get all these bastards out of there. Protect every grandma and grandpa that you have. We have an American way, and an American way that needs to be protected, honored, and loved. I support the Constitution of the United States. I've sworn an oath to her, and I love her. And with the Bible, that's how I stand. And that's who I'm talking to, people just like me. So we need to unite our country. We need to protect Dallas, Texas. If you see an officer of the law in danger, I think it's time for the citizens to be able to unite with the law enforcement, because the next step would be martial law. And again, this is Dallas, Texas. This is the city I was born in. And I think you need to allow Texans to become Texans. And when you see the carry law there, and we have Senator Ted Cruz, I'm telling you, this Greg Abbott has been a bad seed. And he's left the border wide open. And as an oil and gas producer, I gave that turd enough money to complete the job himself. He's been a constitutional violation from California, Arizona, New Mexico to Texas. I call all those the can't governors because they can't do their jobs. California, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas. With the oil and gas taxes you guys get, you could have built that by yourself. You did this. You caused this from Dallas, Texas to California. You governors allowed this to happen. I don't blame Jackwagon Joe. You had state governors that should be following the Constitution, and you violated the Constitution, and you should be held accountable for your actions. So in Texas, I hope you follow someone like Dan Patrick, someone that's at least worth a crap. Because there's a lot of people that are not. And if you're seeing this, well, that's because this is what Governor Abbott allowed. Did you still listen to him after Valverde, where we had our 5th school shooting? I didn't. Okay, but this is happening right now. Anti-ICE protests in Dallas, Texas. Prompt police for a response. This is happening in multiple places right now, and it is time for you can't allow Dallas. Dallas has turned woke. Denton's kind of halfway woke, but everybody that's in a county out in a suburb run by a decent sheriff and a county clerk, I think you need to start deputizing. But our carry laws aren't that great in Texas. And that's why you're looking at this crap behind me. See, in Oklahoma, South Dakota, various other places, citizens can get down and stomp this out and stomp it out quickly. Colorado, you're halfway lost because you allowed California to come in with that woke mentality. They're a bunch of retards, and this is what happens when you let retards run your country. Okay? We need to not let these people any kind of mentality like this. We need to get them out of our schools, because this is the tip of the iceberg for a takeover, and every parent out there agrees with me. We're sick of it. They infiltrated us from the Olympics all the way down into our medicine. Compliments of China. Compliments of a purchased government. I'm going to put this out there, even though that we love President Trump at 79 years old. What do you think is to be too old to be the President of the United States? Because that's about the age both my parents almost died. Eventually they did. How does that make you sleep at night? Is it about competence, or is it about the fact that old people just sometimes don't wake up the next day? And we had a retirement age of 65. Can you tell me, everybody, and why we're letting the Supreme Court run until they die? That is the most preposterous, idiotic thing that we could do, but it proves that they have abused the law by even doing it. Therefore, Congress, if you really were worth the salt and not just a country club only for your cool members, you would establish the fact that the abuse of law has been established, and we would take our country back and establish term limitations on the Supreme Court, because I don't want to see these old farts die in office while they hold us by the balls and our children suffer for their monopoly. This is a monopoly of law. Now we have single judges and lawyers that think that they can trump Trump in the presidency, proving that our judicial branch is out of control within itself. The fact that we had jackwagon Joe Biden in office and we knew that our election was haphazardly attacked, basically finagled, the citizens know it. From the East Coast to the West Coast, from the North to the South, we see Trump flags, but not a damn one from Biden. Do not lie to us. And then Mr. My Pillow, can't say his name because when I do, oh my goodness, you'd think I was spreading the disease, or General Michael Flynn. Truth seekers and constitutionalists that are still here defending our country every day for free, just like me, because we love you. I love these police officers behind me in Dallas, Texas. I have several friends that are on that force. I'm praying for you and your safety, for your families. And I pray that these people have the decency to go home, because nobody needs to live with the grief that's going to come from the side of the law. That's what's going on in Dallas, Texas right now. So from Los Angeles to Dallas, Texas, and I think Trump could smell it. We got tanks circled in Washington, D.C. We have pretty much a no-fly zone that's going to go up, and I'm expecting a martial law. If you keep this up, kids, you're going to just, we're going to go from rubber bullets to real ones. So get your butts out of there, go home, or you're going to be dealing with it, like immediately. And anti-ICE in immigration, how ridiculous can you be? We're all foreigners here, but all of our parents came here through the process of law and how this country established it. My mother was so happy to come here and learn the Pledge of Allegiance, to our country, and to learn it so that she could become an American the legal way. And anyways, when you come here on the wrong foot and that's your first step forward, what do you think their second step is going to be? You think they're going to keep on, they're going to go, I'm going to come over here as a felon, but then I'm going to get on the right foot and just keep on destroying our country, and that's what you're seeing. Wake up. We need to get these people that have violated the Constitution. Every mayor that has run a sanctuary city has violated the Constitution, and if the Supreme Court was real, which I don't think they are, they would Literally listen to the first paragraph of the Constitution of the United States. They have violated the general welfare and the peace and tranquility which gives them the authority to rule over us. As such, they should really all be fired. And this is the grounds to fire each and every one of you. Look at how they're running our country. I want to let this sink in. They're running us into the ground. This is what the woke Congress people in this district in Dallas, Texas, this Jasmine Crockett, she said go out and do this. Is she violating the Incite and Riot Act right now as we speak in Dallas, Texas? Oh, the answer I would say is yes, Jasmine Crockett. You are violating it. So Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, you now have the ammunition to lock this turd and put her away because she's destroying my city and she's violating the Constitution and she has obviously incited a riot. Read your Constitution every day, Congress, because our founding fathers were smart enough to give you the words that you need to follow so that this stuff doesn't happen. Where's the general welfare when we're living in tents? Where's the peace and tranquility when there's riots out on the streets with fentanyl? You see, in our day, in the Reagan times, we had a couple of poison Tylenol and we made safety seals and that stuff stopped. So who do you think let this in? And not only are they doing fake vaccines that are war weapons, not only are they poisoning our food and chemtrailing our skies, but agro-terrorism is happening with the Chinese. That's right, they brought a bacteria in to completely destroy the wheat crops in the United States of America, and we found it. Hate to say it, but this is grounds to throw at every single Chinese foreign student that's in our university tomorrow. Pack your bags, get on a plane, get out of my country. The jig is up. We know what you're about. I think we've all had enough of this stuff, and we can't tolerate it anymore. This is basically civil war in America. Even President Trump just called it a civil war, and I agree with you, sir, it is. It was caused by the Democrats violating the Constitution, violating the opening paragraph of the Constitution. There's no general welfare. You could see it out on the streets. There's no peace and tranquility. And how do you protect and not create anarchy when you don't even put a wall on your border? So we have a civil war in America. And President Donald Trump staunchly defended his decision to deploy the National Guard troops to confront immigration protesters in Los Angeles, telling reporters Monday that we have it very well under control. Gavin Newsom is suing the administration over the move, and the president criticized California leaders, saying that they were afraid of doing anything. Well, let me tell you something. Follow the Constitution. Apprehend Gavin Newsom for violating the peace and tranquility and general welfare of the state of California. They've obviously been sold by him and his Aunt Nancy as they insider trade, or just basically give San Francisco and the rest of their entire state to China. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I think there's a major earthquake that's about to happen out there. Now, here's why. Believe it or not, before all this stuff was going on, you remember like Fukushima and all that, you remember that stuff? Well, let me see if I can actually find it here. I can tell that there's serious atmospheric changes. I can tell that there are very serious atmospheric changes that are happening down deep in the ocean. And when Japan experienced this was right before their major super huge tsunami. So something happened down low. Now, if I'm going to use fish as an example, well, what can I say? But these fish to be living at the surface when they're normally 3,000 feet deep. They can only do that if something dynamic atmospherically happened down deep in the ocean. And so these deep fish came up in Japan, and then right after that happened, there was a major earthquake and tsunami that hit Japan. Now we're seeing the same fish come up on the coast of California. We also had like 5 gray whales die. What is happening out there? And is there about to be a big event that happens? That's really what's on my mind, and I just wanted to bring that to your attention. You're going to see this as we have this, but I think there's going to be a big event off the West Coast. We have the Civil War, we have the martial law, but this is different. So we have blue whales that are dying on the coast, and at the same time, what is the poison that's causing this? Is there a low gravity? I mean, we have low, fish from very deep depths. I'm talking 2,000, 3,000 feet species that are now at the surface and they're alive. That's, and swimming around. This is not something normal, and I want us to pay attention. Is it a Chinese weapon, or is it just a major earthquake? Then we have these oarfish that are normally out in the very deep parts of the ocean. And when they came up onto the surface like this, in Japan, it was right before a very massive earthquake and tidal wave. So this is a weird analogy to give you, but there's something happening either, plate tectonic wise, but something is going on deep in the ocean. It's killing the whales. It's bringing very deep species up to the surface. And again, I'm going to say this again. This is what happens in Japan right before a massive earthquake happens. So this Fukushima, and good news. I got to give you good news. RFK, he purges every single vaccine advisor on the CDC panel. Thank you, RFK Jr. And so, it was such a wonderful time to hang out with your son as he navigated me around Washington. But we have RFK Jr. purging every vaccine advisor on the CDC panel. And I didn't go off on the Dana Rohrabacher thing, because I was talking about how wonderful he is, and I got sidetracked. But Dana Rohrabacher wrote the law to where the federal government couldn't go after marijuana or cannabis clubs using federal funding and federal money. So I'm going to have him on our radio stations. I'm going to have him as my guest. But he's still alive and still kicking from the Reagan administration. But he was the author of this bill. And then I happen to be I think it's because Jesus is on my side and he wants us to protect people that are sick. But then the attorney George Moll, who is very dear friends with Dennis Perrone, one of my good friends, and Dennis Perrone wrote Proposition 215 in California, which then became California Safe and Health Code 1136 2.5. Then it became Senate Bill 420, but it was the beginning of legalization for America. And when they then went after my dear friend Peter McWilliams and then Todd McCormick, well, it started the legalization process for America. And what this big bill will do is it will bring us back to prior to that, where then the federal government can go after every single marijuana collective there is with the federal government and the military and put us out of business because Big Pharma is stepping in. So I think this was a Big Pharma move because they're losing their power. They lost their power when we pulled out of Afghanistan. And there's certain mobs that control people, and their lobbyists are so very strong. I think that's what Elon Musk was really more concerned about in the beginning, was that. So again, we're going to have a travel ban. It's in effect today of 12 nations. Then it's going to be 40 nations. I also gave you the hot list a little bit earlier. And we can see the results from these citizens from these countries as our nation gets torn apart. I've been analyzing the Donald Trump, Elon Musk move. It has me baffled, and I think that I'm correct on my assumptions. I'm going to stick by my assumptions. It has everything to do with the Rohrabacher bill that's going to be reversed. It's Big Pharma's last Hail Mary so that they can have some sort of evil agenda. Now, we can't let that happen. We need to save our country. We're all going to die. And when we do, it should be peaceful. What we need to be concerned about is the fact that China is following us around and preparing for war. They're truly our enemy, and we need to be prepared for it in the worst possible way. Now, as far as people then feeling sorry for what's going on, well, don't be. We're going to handle everything that we need to. Please like, please share, please subscribe. We are at war. We have closed our borders to 12, soon 43. That's enough proof for me. God bless each and every one of you, and thank you for following me here at the American News Network, Major News Network. And I will talk to you soon. Amen.